I highly recommend that every consultant has a productized service. Your best client is already going to have some understanding of what needs to be done. As for consultants, the
Right.
question is not necessarily left or right. They generally know left or right. The question for us is how do we get movement in that direction? That's a different conversation now. Now it's not about who's smartest. Now it's about who's most helpful.
Attention marketers and entrepreneurs, this is Valuetising, the place where we talk about scaling brands worth promoting. If you're a mission-driven entrepreneur obsessed with creating, scaling, and exiting multi-million-dollar brands, this is for you. My name is Santiago Phoenix and I am a business growth consultant, online marketer, and investor. I have helped more than 107 and 8-figure founders increase profits, claim their time back, and transform the world. Now it's your turn. Welcome to the show. Hello and welcome to Valuetising. My guest today is Alzay Calhoun, a business coach for B2B professionals who specializes in helping consultants start, grow, and systematize their practices. Alzay has been the face behind Coveted Consultant for more than a decade and has trained an entire generation of consultants online on how to start functioning like true CEOs. Alzay, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So the first thing that I want to ask you is how do you stay so consistent? Because I've seen very few people who can say that they've been producing content, being with a very focused business for more than a decade.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Um, um, it still strikes me as odd that I've been doing this for over a decade because when I started, no one did this, right? All these tools were new. And so it's still kind of weird to think that I've been doing it for so long. Consistency is hard. Let me be very, very direct. It is hard. I'm glad that what you see is consistency. I'm aware on my side the ups and downs that I have experienced. We were talking just before we turned the camera on about this setup that I have. This is one of the things that I had to learn about. I had to learn it was required. So, like everybody else, or like most people, I imagine, when you first start to create content, you just kind of will yourself through it. You feel inspired on a certain day, you pick up your phone, you pick up your notes, and you try to make content, whatever that means. And you don't realize, or you may not realize how heavy heavy of a lift that is. You've got to learn to turn that into a workflow and see all the different sections of that workflow and optimize one section at a time. So you learn to optimize ideation. You learn to optimize production. You learn to optimize the editing. You learn to optimize the posting. You learn to optimize the promotion or advertising of the content. Those are all different elements of a workflow. And I was have been guilty for years, trying to do all of that at once. Mm-hmm. I'd get excited and I'd go, today's content day. And I would just start trying to turn to all those things. What makes it so difficult is that those really can be different expertises. Mm-hmm. You can hire people for every one of those workflow elements. And that may not be, cost effective for a lot of people, or really time effective because you got all those different silos of work. So at a very minimum, it can be hard on your brain trying to switch your brain from ideation to then produce it. Now you got to turn into an online, into a character, right? Yeah. And you've got to give your best energy possible, and you got to do it through all the edits, right? And then when you've done all of that, now you have to edit that. It's a different brain now. You turn off the energy, and now you go into your computer. Like, these are different switches, and so you've got to learn to optimize through that. So, so it's a process. Which you're hearing me talk through my real experience of doing this and trying to do it even more efficiently over the years. What I've concluded to, at least in today's version of this, is I've decided on a very specific setup for myself. Mm-hmm. And so the camera that's here stays in that position. There are lights that are here; they stay in this position. For fun, these lights turn off and on, right? They're on a remote. there's a software tool that I'm using. I use the same software tool. I mean, these are things I try to simplify, put elegance around, and put structure around all of these things so that when I sit down and show up, I can give full attention to the task at hand. That's where the money is, right? Is in being fully present in this interaction. But if I'm worried about technology or systems or buttons or recorders or remotes, then I can't be fully focused here. So that was a long answer. But I think for those of us that count on content to bring in new clientele, these are the kind of things we have to think through and optimize for, and you get better as you go.
No, I think that's really great because I see many consultants, and I would include myself in that, who for whom it's so easy to prescribe something to clients. Like, yes, you need systems, you need a workflow, exactly what you're saying. But when it comes to their own business, it's so hard to do.
That's right. Yeah, it's I think it's called the Solomon's paradox. There's a phrase for this. Solomon's paradox, Solomon's dilemma. I need to look that up and refine. But it's a biblical reference to King Solomon. He was known as the wisest man in the area, in the country. And his advice to others was way better than the way he was living himself. That's the punchline. And so the point being is that that's a common dynamic. It's simply easier to give advice to other people than it is to do it yourself. In short, because you're third party to somebody else, right? So you can see them for all of what they have going on, and you're less connected. But when you turn that around, now in your situation, you are intimately connected to all of your details, right? And so you don't want to let any of your little idiosyncrasies go because they're yours, right? And you don't change is hard. So along the way here, as we all try to get better, me too, is making sure that I have maximum congruence with what I recommend and how I'm operating. Now, that's harder than it sounds. It sounds good to the ears. That is harder than it sounds, but I try really, really hard to make sure that whatever I'm recommending is directly congruent. Like you can see it in my world in some capacity. So either you can see it today, or I've graduated from it. Hey, I used to do it that way, and now I do it differently for the following reasons. But I try really hard to stay in congruence with that. So thank you. There was a compliment that you were offering me. So thank you for that compliment. But that's a work. If we're going to be in the consulting, advisory, expert business, I think this is a critical element here. To bring that all the way home, it's because it is easier for your clients to execute when they have a living example. So if we really want our clients to have success, to take the step, to do the scary thing, they need to know it's safe. And so show them that it's so, hey, you can do this. No, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Look, it's hard. It's got a few bumps. That's why I'm here. We're working together. That's the energy. But if they don't have a living example, then you might as well be a book. They're just reading from a book. It's just text on a document. So all these things are aligned with, in my world at least, for creating an even better product, service, delivery experience for my clients.
That's interesting. I love that you said the word safe there, because from the work that I've done as a consultant, it looks like sometimes the what to do part is easy, or like what you're telling to the client, but actually getting them to do it, it's so hard. How do you deal with that? I know like you are coaching a lot of consultants when it's like it's very clear what you need to do, but they cannot get themselves to do it. What are some things that you have found there that help people?
Yeah. So I think especially in today's time frame where there's so much information available, your best client is already going to have some understanding of what needs to be done. They may not know everything step by step, block by block, but they're going to have a general sense that they belong going in this direction versus that direction. We should assume that as experts. So then therefore, you coming into an environment and just saying, go that way is just not sufficient. They were already there. They already knew that. So the question becomes, how do we get them to walk in that direction? That's as for consultants. The question is not necessarily left or right. They generally know left or right. The question for us is, how do we get movement in that direction? That's a different conversation now. Now it's not about who's smartest. Now it's about who's most helpful. Two totally different conversations. Okay. Yeah. So if we're now trying to be helpful, if that's the goal we're trying to meet, so then what's required of us to be helpful? What do they need to move forward a little bit? And again, it unpacks deeper and deeper and deeper now. But what do they need to move forward? One of the things, so a word that I have used for almost a decade is the word productizing. That is my simple word or umbrella term to articulate what I'm about to further unpack here. Is I highly recommend that every consultant has a productized service. In short, what that means is that your service is now sold as a product. So your ambiguous, your abstract intellectual service is now sold as a boxed, very understood, tightly defined product. One step further for understanding, your service is productized when it has a defined scope, time, and price. So scope, what's inside the box? Time, how long to consume it? Price, how long does it take? And I'm sorry, price, how much does it cost? Yes. And so those three elements, scope, time, price, are the beginning understandings of productizing. Now, to overlay what I was saying before, it's scope, time, price towards the goal. So not scope, time, price of what you invented, not scope, time, price of what, that's in my language, that's what changes productized versus packaged. So many of us have packaged services. There's kind of pure custom, then there's packaged in the middle. And package is, I develop, gold, silver, and bronze level of pricing, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 level of pricing, right? Small, mid-size, enterprise level of pricing. But it's hyper selfish because you just took what you did, you threw it in a box, and now you give it a fancy name. I still don't know where it is. I don't know where it takes me. So this idea of productized says that I've taken what you want, I put that in the box. And now it's the scope, time, price to get you what you want. That's what productizing, the real spirit of productizing is all about. So then, clients is trying to go somewhere. They're nervous about getting there. What is the scope required to get there? How long does that take? What is the cost of achieving that? Long answer to your question here, because you're asking, how do you begin to create momentum? Communicating in this way is step number one. Hey, I understand what it is you're trying to get done. Here's what's required. Here's how long that takes. Here's the amount of money it's gonna cost. Oh, okay. Now that feels reasonable. That feels attainable. That feels less risky.
For both parties, right?
For both. Thank you, Santiago. For both parties. Everybody now feels better about taking this next step. And more money is made this way for you and for them, right? More success and momentum is had this way for you and for them. If you're willing to shift your thinking here. This is harder than it sounds. Again, harder than it sounds, because we are married to our existing thought pattern. We're experts. It took a long time to get here. We like where we are. We're smart like we are. And so the idea of shifting your thinking into it's the same material, but just expressed differently. And it's a different way of you've never expressed it this way before. You just explain what you do and somebody buys it. But you never had to tie it to the end outcome that somebody else wants. The good news is that once you understand how to do this and you've documented this, you can sell that over and over again. Now it's a product. Now it's an actual product. So you can sell that product over and over and over again. So it's, you know, it's a lift to do or a change to make. But once you've changed it, you now have a systematic thing. And that serves you systematically.
Wow. Wow. Yes, yes. It's a huge shift because it's coming to my mind people who I know. And it has happened to me where, for example, a fractional CMO who does very, very personalized work. It's all custom made, and it's like, how do I even begin productizing if every person that I have, it's so different. They want different things, yeah, etc. It's different industries, maybe.
So what do you
So
do, right?
yeah, what do you do? Like, would you recommend? Okay, yes. What do you do? Let's keep it like that.
What do you do? So an objection I have heard for years, right? But Alzay, what I do is so custom. Number one, Alzay, I've served in so many industries in the past. Number two, and so look at Zoom being helpful. So what do I do about that, right? So there are a few notches here. One is that what you want to keep doing? So I understand that what you do is hyper custom to every client, but do you want to keep doing that? One of the reasons why people come to me in my particular point of view expertise is because quietly they want to stop doing that. They know how expensive it is to hyper customize every single arrangement.
Right.
So do you want to keep doing it? If you like that, that's fine. There's no judgment, man. There's a bunch of ways to be helpful, a bunch of ways to run a business. Choose the one that fits you, but you got to be honest about what your goals are. So do you want to keep doing that? Number one. Number two, just because you have done work in a variety of industries in the past doesn't mean that you should going forward. So an aggressive question that I often ask is, where are you best? Yes, I know you've served big businesses, little businesses, big clients, small clients, big issues. I know you've solved the world. I know. Where are you best? Under what scenario have you done or do you do your best work? Now, that may require some reflection, but again, brand new question here. So as you digest those two things, what do you want to do and what should you do given your strengths? All of a sudden, the world gets smaller. All of a sudden, you're not trying to solve for every single client in every single capacity. Now you're admitting what you want to do and where you're best at doing it. And you begin to say, if you're a fractional CMO, I am actually better serving clients under a 1-year time frame because I don't want to be with clients for the next 5-10 years. That's why I chose to be a fractional CMO. A 1-year time frame for me is best. And if I'm really honest, I enjoy working with beverage companies most. Just do. I like drinking the stuff and I like hanging out with them. Yes, I could do it for automobile manufacturers and for e-commerce brands and I've done it. But if I'm honest, I kind of have more fun. It just feels better to me. Focused here. So all of a sudden we went from being CMO to anybody who'll pay you money to being a specialist in a very particular area. Now, that's kind of, there's a big chunk that's there. The next big chunk, which I'll pause so that I don't over-explain here. The next big chunk is when you realize where you would like to focus, you begin to appreciate that as you're more refined about where you'd like to focus, you discover a more refined person who wants to buy it. So now that okay, I will admit that I really want to be here. Who buys that? Now we see a person. Now we can talk to that person. And all of a sudden, your language that went from I'm a CMO fractional to anybody who will listen turns into, if you are this person with this kind of problem and you need a fractional CMO, I'd love to help you.
Yes. Wow.
Changes everything.
And it requires a lot of guts.
It does require some guts. Kinda. So the first part about requiring guts is because, and I had a member of my community who taught this next point to me. I was a bit stubborn here, but she had to kind of lean on me to get me to appreciate it. Guts. What she said to me was, Alzay, what you're recommending me to do is different than what I've ever learned in school. So then, There's an issue here that people feel because what they feel is risk. Alzay, if anybody comes to me right now, I can at least engage them in conversation. I can try to be helpful. I can try to make some money. What you're saying is to before they even come, take 90% of them and throw them away. Don't talk to them anymore. Wait, you just took 90% of my leads away from me, Alzay. That feels risky. I agree. It does feel risky on its face. If we hang in there for a little bit, what really, if we're honest, again, we're being honest now, right? What were your odds of closing one of those random clients that came your way? What's the odds?
Very low.
Very low. Thank you, sir. What are the odds that you're going to enjoy and actually be good at the work one of those random opportunities brings to you? Very low.
Mm-hmm.
Very low equals high risk, by the way, right? Or why don't we just go ahead and choose in advance that we're going to talk to these people? And we know before we even get started, we have an 80% chance, I make that number up, but we have a high probability of serving them well. We know that now. We know that right now. I've already told you where I'm best. I already told you where I'd like to focus. I know I'm good at doing that work. So the odds of you resonating with that audience, given the specificity of your language, shoots way up. The odds of them bringing a opportunity to you that you can actually help with goes way up. The odds of you being successful in that product or in that project goes way up.
Yes.
The risk profile has now fundamentally changed. So the first gut response seems risky. I understand. I very well understand. But if you hang in there for a minute, what you'll find is a brand new risk profile that is very much in your favor. But you got to make some decisions. And that's the part that's weird. The part that's weird is I have to now make some choices up front. But hey, final note, bring it all the way home. That's what your clients have to do too. You challenge your clients to make decisions. The only way that they get to where they want to go is if they do something different. So you modeling what I said, modeling what I ask my clients to do, I got to make choices too. My clients got to make choices. And I empathize with the friction that's involved with that focus. I empathize with that. It's a very real thing. But we all know if we all set all the adults down and we said, if you're focused, are you better? Yes or no? Answer is yes. Every single time. We don't need any thought about that. We all know that focus is better. So the challenge here is to go ahead and focus just a little bit. And what you'll find is that the marketplace rewards you way better, and also faster.
Well, yeah, which is counterintuitive because at first you would think like you have this FOMO of missing out on quote unquote opportunities and easy money.
Easy money.
Saying no to easy money is the hard
That's
part.
right. If for most of the people that come to me that I've had chance of interacting with, fear of missing out, that's a human emotional thing. But it's a fear of missing out of opportunities that haven't come yet. Like, so if you show me where they are, okay, we can talk about, what you might be losing, but you haven't lost anything. That like, show it to me. Show me the thing that you're missing out on, right? There isn't one, right? It's kind of like when you get married, it's the fear of missing out on marrying somebody else. Well, show me the other lady. Show it to me. There isn't one? Okay, well then look at the one you've got. Well, focus on the one you've got, right? But being worried about some other magical person showing up, that's unfair. It's a stress you're putting on yourself, right? Now, if you don't like the person you're currently with, then you can choose somebody else. If you don't like the clientele you're working with, as we just discussed earlier, you can choose another. But the fear of missing out is really just it's purely emotional, right? And so we should treat ourselves better in that way as consultants, as people who think well. We should treat ourselves a bit better about that. The other side is if you really have So fear of missing out. There are scenarios. I said most people don't have another opportunity. They're just kind of emotionally kind of pining after it. But some people really do have a choice. I could serve clients A or clients B. I can go segment A or segment B. Well, if you've got that scenario, now you can decide more specifically, more more precisely which one's better. If we draw your business out 5 more years, which segment's more profitable, personally and professionally? Choice made. Go. But either way, you can. This is the choice you can make. What would you say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Say it again.
No, yes. I was reinforcing that, and I think that's where having an outside perspective or a coach is so helpful. Like, even if you are an advisor to others, I guess you need an advisor for yourself. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you do. I think we all need a human sanity check. All of us do, right? Because we're all humans. And so, especially as an individual person, there's, you've got personal and professional happening in your head all the time, right? So you got friends and family, and you got finance things, and you got these other freedoms you want to experience as a person. At the same time, you got all this business stuff that's in your head, and they're all mixed in there together. And so on any given day, on any given time, trying to make a single decision amongst all that data, it's just hard. And so again, when you've got somebody else, third party, someone, something, some method, something that can just look at your scenario in a more objective manner and go, hey, I think I'm hearing you say peanut butter or jelly. Well, now, which one do you want? And you go, peanut butter. But you had spaghetti and pizza and cucumbers and all kinds of things in your head a minute ago. But but you gotta have some version of a sounding board. And there's a bunch of ways of having them and or getting them. Here's one thing I've done for years, by the way. I journal. And even before journaling, I write. So, I am verbal. I have made a lot of YouTube videos, et cetera. So you can see verbal, right? I think verbal communication is a strength of mine. Is a strength of mine. It's a strength of mine, kind of naturally, and it's a skill I've developed. Okay, great, good for me. But what is not seen as part of this setup you've been looking at is pen and paper. I write a lot. I got an iPad sitting here. I write a lot to help filter my own thoughts. What did I mean to say? What am I trying to say? Et cetera. So as those who might be listening to our conversation right now and go and saying, man, that guy's sharp, man, that guy's quick. It ain't because I'm like naturally brilliant. It's because I've worked on these thoughts for a really long time. So then, in the point of if you have an advisor who, or a coach or a community or a mastermind group or anything, right? That can be a sounding board. That's valuable. Certainly it is. And there are things you can do privately, individually, to do similar work. And some of us are not as deliberate, with refining. What am I really trying to do? What industry do I want to focus on? What goal matters most to me? These things, you can just write them out. And sometimes the answer is sitting right there in front of you when you do. There's text on this page I'm showing you right now. You know what I mean? Like I'm writing all the time. So when I say journal is kind of a category of writing, but the overarching of that is writing, appreciating the value that writing has in filtering thoughts. And again, one more time, as consultants, we sell thoughts for a living. That's what we do. We sell ideas. And so the sharper those ideas, then the faster, the better they resonate, the faster that they resonate, the more profitable they become. You got to respect the effort required to sharpen your own ideas.
If you're a business owner looking to scale your company in a way that doesn't add more stress and overwhelm to your plate, I have something that will be great for you. Look, you may have tried a lot of courses, group coaching programs, and masterminds. The problem is that none of these options give you a customized plan that makes sense for your unique situation, your strengths, your team capabilities, and that really pinpoints what is the best opportunity for you right now in order to get to that next level of revenue, freedom, and impact. So, if you want to get started with a plan like that, go to myplantoscale.com and grab my one-page scaling plan. It will bring clarity about what do you really want to get out of your business and how you can get it in the fastest, simplest, and most efficient way possible. Go to myplantoscale.com to grab it today. Now, back to the show.
I think that's very related to the tagline that you currently have, which is like transform your consulting into curriculum to scale beyond one-on-one work.
Yeah.
Could you unpack that a little? And is it the same as productizing, or I'll just unpack what that involves?
Yeah. It's productizing by a different name. Productizing is a concept I'm never going to let go of. I believe that it's too important and too powerful to let it go away. Many of us as consultants we're hyper aware of the time ask that our business has of us or makes of us. We are intimately involved with client acquisition as a system. We have to do that on a regular basis. We're intimately involved with client service. We have to do that. We're part of the delivery. In order to retain clients, we're part of the ongoing work that has to be done. So we are the leader of the business. We are the chief salesperson. We are the chief delivery person. And many of those things require or involve our intellectual effort. So the demand on our time and energy is really, really high when you run a consulting business of any kind. So many of us are trying to limit or remove the one-on-one work that's in our business. We want to get out of doing sales calls. We want to get out of our one-on-one delivery, et cetera. And so that's a real thing. Now, can you do that? Yes, you can. But it's done with the same kind of pragmatism you've heard me express this entire time. You got to see it in steps. You got to see it in pieces. It's not just I want to stop doing one-on-one work. Well, I mean, you can say that I want to stop, but the pathway that I'd recommend a pathway. I'd recommend a roadmap you follow, not just kind of just jumping off the cliff, so to speak. So many people many consultants and advisors want to limit, at least, if not remove, the one-on-one element of their work. This idea of having curriculum, again, in the spirit of productizing, a thing I've already laid out, is having a process for how the problem gets solved. What the word curriculum triggers is a pathway you can hold up now. Now it's got 7 steps, right? And so that curriculum can be shown to your clients. See, I know how to get from A to Z. Look, they're all laid out. All the letters, they're all laid out, right? I know how to get from New York to Los Angeles. See, all the states you pass through, I'm laying them all out, right? So that curriculum can be expressed to clients. That curriculum is also used for yourself. So when the client signs on for 50 grand, now what are we doing? Right, curriculum. And you can remind yourself of what the next steps are, instead of having to go through the intellectual lift of remembering every single time. Because again, if you've got to remember every single time, you spent some energy that could have been saved working with the client and being amazing. And so just having the curriculum laid out lightens your lift of delivery. One more layer to that curriculum can be taught to those who support you: vendors, team members, software tools. Everybody's following the same bloody curriculum. But if you got no curriculum, then none of those people have any guidance. Clients got no guidance. You've got no guidance. Your team's got no guidance. And now it becomes a hyper customized, figure it out as you go, very emotionally exhausting experience. Now, since I've said that, the first time you do it's probably going to feel a lot like that. The first time you do it, you got to do it the best way you know how. You got to jump in there and figure it out. Now, if you're following at least the fundamentals that I would offer you, you would charge the appropriate premium, right? So if you're jumping in to figure it out, well, then it costs what it costs, right? And so that that's your first time going through it. But every time you go through it, you make some decisions on how to refine it. Here come decisions again, right? Where am I best? Where do I want to focus? You make some decisions on how to refine it, and your curriculum gets stronger and stronger. So the first time you got no curriculum, and you just do the best you can. The next time you do it, you got at least a base curriculum. Here's what I did last time. And then you start sanity checking. Do we need step 1 still? Do we need step 2 still? Step 3, step 4. Step 4 is where it went off the rails last time. What can we do this time to keep step 4 on the rails? Okay, now we can do step 5, step 6, step 7, step 8. And this becomes the iterative process. And as you do that, you get better. You get remarkably better. Clients love speed. And so you can charge your clients for that aggressive speed to get through that very difficult problem. It's a good deal for all parties. But again, there's some things you got to do, the things you got to do to experience that new outcome.
Yeah, and it's really completely different way of how most people, including myself, are doing it, which I guess there's a lot to unpack, but maybe I guess it's like that belief of I'm valuable because of how much time I put into it. And you're talking really about leveraging your time.
What I have found, and this is something that, again, my coaching membership had to kind of say to me 100 times before it clicked in my own brain. For a lot of people, especially in the expert business, people like you and I, consulting it's validating. Consulting, the money you get from consulting, is validating the experience you've had to get here. So I've been doing this for 10 years, and I'm good at this. And they pay me for it, which means that the 10 years I spent was worth it. I understand. I got it. Do you hear how selfish that sounds? Rhetorically is what I'm saying, right? Is we need this to make me feel better? It's not the point of having this business. The point of this business is to give them value. That's the point. The point of this business is to give them speed. The point of this business is to solve that difficult problem that they can't solve themselves. That's the point of this business. They pay us for that efficiency. There's your validation. They pay us for the efficiency we offer them. Now, you're right. A lot to unpack here because in our brains, we are tied to our own story. Alzay, do you know how long it took me to learn that thing, understand that thing, do that thing, etc.? And you want me to just give that away or just do it, do that at a discount? Alzay, it took me 8 years to finally figure out, et cetera, right? So I understand that we're tied to our own story. You don't solve for this friction all at one time. It's not a thing you snap your fingers and do. You might hear it today, but you're going to get better at really appreciating where the value is in your business. You're going to get better at optimizing that value for both parties. And along the way, you're going to optimize or improve your own attitude towards it. But this is process. This is not, it's not a thing. Again, one thing is kind of smart people, we go, I'm smart, I understand, I'll do better. No, you won't. You're gonna do tomorrow what you did today. We're all creatures of habit, me included, right? What you're doing today is what you did yesterday. What you're doing tomorrow is what you did today. So yes, I know intellectually you understand, but again, we're having movement. Was a question you asked earlier. How do we get movement here? And I'm trying to unpack what that roadway, what that roadmap looks like to get you the movement. You can do it, but there's a scope. You got to endure. There's a time frame you got to agree to, submit to. There's a price you're going to pay for it, but it can totally be doable. What you'll find, kind of bring all that home. What you'll find is that what you create is a business that is magnificently more efficient. It costs less of your time to operate. You get to charge way more for that efficiency, and by getting that premium, you can afford to up-level the business, hire people, buy bigger software tools, get better implementation. You can support the business better. You can now afford, because you've got time leverage, to do the things that you really wanted to do with your free time anyway. Bowling, time with family, food tours, learn a new hobby, play tennis, or what have you. But all these things are unlocked by the mental switch you make. Until you make that mental switch, it's going to be a lot of heavy lifting done on your brain. It's very validating because you get to think a lot, and the people all come to you and say you're a great thinker. But there's a different story you can live out that's lighter and better, and they still say really, really nice things about you. But you gotta make that switch though.
Yes, and I like this is an example of how you are being congruent, because I saw how you are really leveraging your time with your membership, your community. So can you walk us through how that came about?
Yeah.
How are you helping people inside the membership?
Yeah, thank you. All right. So how did it come about? All right. In short, the membership I lead today is a byproduct of the one-on-one work I've done for years. So I didn't wake up one day and go membership, and then it just all kind of worked out. Not true, not fair. So what I've learned via the time and energy that I've spent is to clearly identify what people need to know, to clearly identify what problems people want solved, and then to clearly package the roadmap I recommend to solve it, and to make the lift on their end as light as humanly possible. There's a lot in there. So it's not just a dump of everything I know and call it a membership. That's not fair. It's not just a body of people together who kind of talk about business every week. That's not fair. It's way more intentioned than that. And I learned those intentions by solving client problems as aggressively as I could for a number of years. So that's how the membership came about. And when I realized that I was holding very specific solution, and then I had another solution, and then I had another solution, I went, okay, so those three solutions can now be in the same place. And I can give people access to solution A or B or C. Now my job is more about hearing the core problem someone has and pointing them to the iPad if they need an iPad solution. If they need phone solution, I go, you need a phone, and I point to the phone solution, right? So I had to kind of graduate my way into this current level of functioning. There's a second question that you asked about the membership. How I support. Well, I just answered how I support people. So the vast majority of my clients are experts themselves. Well, actually, no, all of them they're all experts themselves. What they need is not help with their expertise. What they need is a more systematic way of running the business, because the vast majority of the people in my community will admit that the one-on-one pressure is just too high. That's the core admission, is that I can't be my members say I can't be queen of client acquisition and then queen of client service, and then also figure out a way to keep every client forever. Like, that lift on me is just too high. I can't do all that math. And so how do we get more leverage here? And by the way, I keep saying things in that way: acquisition, service, and retention, because those three systems are the systems that need the first upgrade. If you can get a new lease on life, a new picture for how those three systems work. How do you attract clients? How do you serve clients? How do you retain clients? If those three things are now systematic, as each one changes, your life gets better. As they all change, oh my gosh, it's a whole new world. The latest thing I've added that I'm really excited about, and like this is as live as we are talking right now, is I am onboarding clients or onboarding members to the community even better. So now what we do is there's an initial conversation that we have where you build out your own annual plan. So your dream consulting business that provides not only all of the profits you want, but all the personal freedoms you want. Tell me what that business looks like. Spell it out as best you can. There's a whole framework we have for it, but spill it. Tell me, lay it all out. What does the dream business look like? Okay. How do we now turn that outcome into a 12-month plan? If we worked on that for a year, what would need to happen at every major stage? And so people now come into the community with that action plan. It's now an action plan that they can print off. They hold it in their hands. So every person has their own personal action plan. In fact, I think I was using this folder. I was using this folder to demo this to somebody just the other day, right? So there's when you first join the community, you get you there's a form you fill out. There's a report that you get to your email that tells you what your 5-year bucket list should be, what your 3-year bucket list should be, what your annual goals should be, what your metrics should be for the year, and then what your first quarter priorities should be. And all that is now printed out. It's yours. It's personal to you. So everybody who joins the membership gets a version of that. And then we have a quarterly review process where we review this every quarter. And along the way, I serve as the guide. So again, if you get stuck with something, I guide you to the iPad you might need, or the phone you might need, or whatever other solution that you might need somewhere that's in there. So thank you for allowing me to explain that. I'm proud of the membership. It took a long time to get here. And I'm proud. I'm proud of it as a product. I'm proud of it as a product.
Yeah, and like even calling it a membership does not make it justice. It's really a coaching program and community, and it's it's really a transformation in the business model from cold outreach, referrals, customer proposals into something that functions like a well-oiled machine, right?
My goodness, yeah, man. If you're still doing cold outreach and customer proposal, I mean, you have to. I mean, you got to start. You start with what you know. You start where you start. So I'm not mad at you there. But for anybody, whoever it is, I'm not mad at anybody, but right. We want to be able to graduate out of that particular world as fast as possible. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we want to give ourselves some leverage with all of those things. So while we're talking really quickly, right? So the what I believe every expert should be in regards to client acquisition is around content creation. We all got to be making content. Now, I'm not suggesting that you make content ad nauseum in perpetuity for the rest of your life. That is the trip you can get caught in. I've made 400 YouTube videos. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You want to be way more precise about the content you create, and what each piece is used for. And you need paid advertising to then put that on autopilot or repeat. You don't need some crazy large budget. So this is not, but what you're hearing is just a grounded approach here. As an expert, there's certain things you got to say to the market so they know you are their best solution. Say those things, and now put them on repeat via paid advertising. So that's the way we think about client acquisition, away from cold outreach, away from proposals, and now it's about content attracting new clientele. Client service is about productizing. We've now just described that a couple of different ways here, but you need a core roadmap that you walk people through. And if you admit where you're best, what is that roadmap? And so now and everybody knows. Clients, you and your team all know what the roadmap is. And then when a client works with you, and if y'all have done good work the way that you know that you can, they're going to want to stay. So give them a reason to stay. Give them a reason to keep working with you, a reason to keep paying money. Give them a structured offering, not just a monthly thing that sounds cute. No, don't do that. Offer a structured offering that respects your premium, where they can keep paying because you're great. And so these are structures that live inside our coaching community. And we give you all the tools you need to manifest these things, create things, deploy these things as quickly as possible. But you follow your own plan, though, right? So because doing it all at once, overwhelming. So you see your own plan, and given where you are with your plan, we do system 1, we do system 2, we do system 3, so that you are stair-stepping your way to a very different and what I believe to be a much better expert-based consulting practice.
That sounds amazing. Where can people learn more about you and the coaching program?
Yeah, I appreciate that. CovetedConsultant.com is my website. CovetedConsultant.com. That's my website. the majority of my content, this to get this feeling of what it's like to work with me or work around me, these systems I'm talking about, if you like more detail on those, I have a YouTube channel. And again, so there's a decade worth of content on the YouTube channel, lots of stuff that's there. So you can just kind of get a feeling of what it's like to work with me. And there's a variety of case studies from members, clients, all along the way here, and what their experience has been like. So those two places, the website, covetedconsultant.com, and then the YouTube channel can help you get clear and comfortable to see if the route I'm recommending is the route for you.
Yeah, for sure. Check out Alzay's YouTube channel. I have followed your content for so long. I'm very honored to be speaking here with you. I'm very thankful for all the help that you provided me and consultants every day across the world.
Thank you, Santiago. I appreciate that. I believe, we're in the world of AI, and there's a narrative around AI replacing humans. And I don't know about that. I don't know, I don't know about the future, but here's my point that I'm making, that experts will always be required. They're no matter how smart AI gets, humans tell the machine what to do. No matter how smart AI gets, at some point there's specific nuance that a human can process that AI can't process. And so for that reason, experts, real experts, I believe are going to get more valuable, not less valuable. What will happen is that the mediocre experts are going to find themselves getting replaced. But if you've got real precise expertise, the way we've been talking, I believe we're going to get even more valuable. But the way you deploy that expertise has to up level, though. And that's what I'm excited about. So thank you for appreciating the content that I've made and kind of the business that I've worked to build. It's an effort, it's as we've discussed. But I think that this thing called expertise is going to get even more valuable. And so if you stay in the game, sharpen your thinking, I think you'll create exactly what you want inside your own expert practice. So thank you for your time today, Santiago. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's time to level up.
Yes, sir. All right. Talk to you soon, man.
If you enjoyed the show, hit the share button and send it over to one fellow marketer or entrepreneur. We work hard to make sure they'll thank you for it. Also, to get featured on the show, go to valuetising.com and apply to become our next guest. Until next time, keep valuetizing.